Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a simple but life-changing question. What if the life you dream of isn't locked away from you? What if the key has been in your hand all along? Too many people are waiting for the right time, the right resources, or the right opportunity. But let me remind you, God already placed everything you need inside of you. The only thing standing between you and the goal you want is the decision to unlock it. When it comes to achieving your goals, the very first and most powerful step is deciding before you arrive. Far too many people wait until everything looks perfect, until every detail is mapped out, until all the fear is gone and all the doubts are silenced. But life does not reward hesitation, it rewards decision. A decision is not just a mental choice, it's a declaration to the universe and to yourself that says, I will arrive no matter what it takes. The moment you decide, you begin to activate unseen forces that were lying dormant, waiting for you to stop sitting on the fence. Let me give you a hook right here in decision is the enemy of destiny. You cannot walk into the future God designed for you while holding the hand of hesitation. You must decide before you arrive. When you study great leaders, champions, and achievers, you will notice one common thread. They decided long before the path was clear. They didn't wait for evidence. They didn't wait for applause. They didn't even wait for agreement from others. They made a decision and then built the evidence along the way. That's why so many people never move beyond dreaming. They are waiting for certainty. But certainty doesn't come before the decision. It comes after. Your decision creates the direction, and your direction creates the destiny. People say they want to achieve great things, but then they leave the door cracked open for retreat. Let me give you another hook. If you leave an exit strategy open, you will always take it when things get hard. But if you burn the boats and decide, you'll discover strength you never thought you had. Think about it. Every invention, every breakthrough, every revolution began with a decision. A decision to move forward even when there was no guarantee of success. A decision to keep going when everyone else quit. A decision to say, I don't know how long this will take, but I refuse to stop until I arrive. That's what separates dreamers from doers. Dreamers wait for the perfect conditions, but doers create them. The decision itself carries power. Once you lock in, your brain begins to search for solutions, opportunities, and connections it would have otherwise ignored. It's like telling your mind, this is happening no matter what, and suddenly doors you didn't even know existed start to appear. The trap most people fall into is believing they need resources before they can decide. But resources follow decisions. The moment you decide, the resources begin to show up. People appear in your life, ideas come to you, and opportunities seem to align. Why? Because decision is magnetic. It draws toward you what hesitation keeps away. You've experienced this on a small scale before when you finally decided to go to the gym. You started noticing healthier options all around you. When you decided to look for a business opportunity, you began to see possibilities you never saw before. Imagine what could happen if you decided on your biggest goal with the same intensity. Here's another hook for you to remember. Your decision is the key, not your conditions. If you wait for conditions, you'll wait forever. The world changes too quickly, life shifts too often, and circumstances rarely align the way you expect. But if you decide, you stop being tossed around by circumstances and start steering your own ship. Decisions give you direction, and direction gives you power. Every moment you delay the decision, you delay the destiny. That's why so many people die with their dreams still inside them. They never made the decision to start. So the challenge today is simple. Make the decision before you arrive. Decide now that you will succeed before the path becomes clear. Decide now that you will press forward no matter how long it takes. Decide now that no excuse, no obstacle, no setback will derail you. Because once the decision is made, you've already won half the battle. The rest is simply walking in the direction of the choice you've already declared. And here's the final hook. Indecision delays your breakthrough, but decision delivers it. So decide now before you arrive and watch how quickly the path begins to unfold beneath your feet. Faith is the master key that unlocks every goal, every dream, and every future you desire. Without faith, all the strategies, all the blueprints, and all the knowledge in the world will feel like a locked door that refuses to open. Faith is the ability to see the invisible, to believe in what you cannot yet touch, and to act on a vision that has not yet materialized. It is not about ignoring reality, but about creating a new reality by aligning your actions with what you believe is possible. The greatest trap people fall into is waiting until they can see results before they decide to believe. But here's a hook you need to remember. Belief does not follow evidence. Evidence follows belief. You don't wait to see it in order to believe. You believe, and that belief calls the evidence into existence. Think about the goals you've set for yourself. The reason they sometimes feel heavy or out of reach is not because the goal itself is impossible, but because you've allowed doubt to creep in. Doubt is the rust on the key that keeps the lock jammed. Faith, on the other hand, is the force that turns the key smoothly and unlocks the door. Faith says, even though I can't see the full staircase, I'll take the first step. Faith whispers, even though the resources are not visible yet, I trust they will show up when I need them. And over again, those who have lived by faith have proven this truth. Doors open for those who dare to walk forward without the guarantee of what's on the other side. History is full of examples of people who had nothing but faith to carry them forward. Entrepreneurs who started with no capital, leaders who began with no followers, visionaries who stood alone with only a conviction in their hearts. They didn't wait for proof. They didn't wait for a cheering crowd. They took a leap with nothing but faith and discovered that when you leap with faith, the net appears. That's another hook worth engraving in your mind. Faith makes you move, and movement makes things happen. It's not the size of your resources that matters. It's the size of your faith that ignites the resources into motion. You might be wondering why so many people never unlock their goals. The truth is, they let fear overpower faith. Fear is faith in the wrong direction. It is believing more in obstacles than in opportunities. When you have faith, you flip the equation. You stop magnifying the problem and start magnifying the promise. Faith doesn't mean there won't be setbacks. It doesn't mean everything will be easy. But faith gives you the strength to push through setbacks because you know they are only temporary stops, not permanent destinations. Every locked door has a key, and that key is faith activated by action. Here's another hook to keep close. Faith is not passive. Faith is aggressive. Faith is not sitting on the couch wishing things were different. Faith is getting up, putting your hand to the plow and moving forward while trusting the outcome will align with your belief. Faith is what makes you invest when others hesitate. Faith is what makes you build when others doubt. Faith is what makes you endure when others quit. Without faith, you will always find reasons to stop. With faith, you will always find reasons to keep going. The beauty of faith is that it transforms you as much as it transforms your circumstances. When you operate in faith, you begin to see yourself differently. You stop saying, I hope it happens. And you start declaring, it will happen because I am willing to act. Faith changes your language, and your language changes your life. That's why one of the most powerful hooks you can live by Is this your mouth will always move you toward your miracle or away from it. Speak in faith, act in faith, and the results will follow. So if your goal feels locked, stop rattling the door in frustration and start using the key that's been in your hand the whole time. Believe before you see, trust before you receive, and move before you have all the answers. Because faith is not just the master key to unlocking your goals. It is the force that makes you unstoppable once the door swings wide open. Execution eats excuses for breakfast. And this is a truth that separates those who talk about success from those who actually live it. Too many people spend their days creating long lists of reasons why something cannot be done, why the timing is not right, why they don't have enough resources, or why their situation is somehow different from everyone else's. But here's the reality. Excuses are powerless until you give them power. Execution is what silences every excuse, every fear, and every limitation, because once you take action, you prove to yourself that it can be done. Let me give you a hook right here. Excuses only sound good to the people who make them, but execution speaks louder to the world. The problem with excuses is they disguise themselves as logic. They sound reasonable, they sound safe, they even sound smart, but all they really are is permission to stay where you are. Excuses keep you locked in comfort zones while convincing you that you're doing the best you can. Execution, on the other hand, pulls you out of comfort and forces you into growth. Execution is not about waiting until you feel ready. It's about moving forward, even when you don't. The truth is, if you wait until you're ready, you'll be waiting for the rest of your life. Winners don't wait for readiness. They act their way into readiness. And that's why they win. Think about the goals you've been holding in your heart. How many times have you talked about them? How many times have you written them down? How many times have you told yourself that one day, when the stars align, you'll finally get started? That one day never comes. The only day you truly have is today, and execution is what transforms today into progress. That's another hook to lock into your spirit tomorrow, is the hiding place of broken dreams. But today is the stage where execution brings them to life. Execution is not about perfection, it's about progress. Too many people paralyze themselves by trying to get everything perfect before they begin. They spend months tweaking a plan, adjusting a design, or preparing for every possible outcome, and in the process, they never actually start. Perfection is the enemy of execution. Those who succeed are the ones who start messy, adjust along the way, and refine as they go. They understand that action creates clarity. The more you do, the more you learn, and the more you learn, the better you do. But none of that happens if you keep hiding behind excuses. Here's another powerful hook. Execution builds confidence faster than thinking about execution ever will. You can think, plan, and dream all you want, but nothing strengthens your belief like seeing yourself take action. When you execute, you prove to yourself that you are capable. And once you prove it, you begin to trust yourself at a higher level. That trust builds momentum, and momentum is the fuel that carries you across obstacles that excuses told you were impossible to overcome. Excuses will tell you that you don't have enough money, but execution will show you that resourcefulness is more valuable than resources. Excuses will tell you that you don't have enough time, but execution will reveal that you've always had the same 4 hours as every successful person you admire. Excuses will tell you that you're not ready, but execution will remind you that readiness comes through doing. Every excuse sounds convincing until you silence it with action. The real difference between those who unlock their goals and those who don't is not intelligence, not talent, not luck. It's execution. Every idea has potential, but potential means nothing without movement. You can't deposit potential in the bank. You can't sell potential to customers. You can't feed your family with potential. Only execution turns potential into profit, dreams into destiny, and vision into victory. That's why the world is full of people with ideas, but only a few with results. So the challenge is clear. Stop rehearsing excuses and start rehearsing execution. Take one step, make one move. Start one action today that proves you are serious about your goal. Because once you begin executing consistently, excuses lose their grip, fear loses its power, and doubt loses its voice. The lock that once looked impossible begins to fall open. Remember this hook every time hesitation rises. Excuses expire the moment execution begins. Discipline is the currency of success, and it is the price you must pay daily if you want to unlock your goals. Too many people dream of wealth, health, influence, or freedom, but they are not willing to make the daily deposits of discipline required to earn it. Here's a hook you need to remember. Success is never sold at a discount. It is always paid for in full. And the payment method is discipline. You cannot negotiate your way around it. You cannot pray your way out of it. And you cannot wish your way past it. Discipline is the non-refundable price tag attached to every achievement worth having. The challenge with discipline is that it feels expensive in the moment. Waking up early, sticking to your plan, following through on commitments, staying consistent even when motivation fades. These are things that cost you comfort. They cost you temporary pleasure. They cost you the easy road. They cost you the indulgence of excuses. But discipline is not really a cost, it is an investment. Every disciplined action you take is like putting money in a high yield account that pays you back with compounded results. That's another hook for you. Motivation might get you started, but only discipline guarantees you'll finish. Think about the people you admire most, the ones who built businesses, transformed their bodies, mastered a craft, or created lasting legacies. None of them arrived where they are by accident. Talent might have given them a head start. Opportunity might have opened a door, but discipline kept them walking through it day after day. Discipline is the bridge between desire and destiny. Without it, your goals remain ideas, your potential remains dormant, and your dreams remain dreams. Excuses will always try to bargain with you. They will whisper, just this once, skip the work. Just this once, take the easy way. Just this once, break the routine. But the problem with just this once is that it multiplies. One excuse turns into two. Two excuses turn into a habit. And before long, you've traded consistency for convenience. Discipline is what keeps you from negotiating with mediocrity. Discipline doesn't listen to excuses. Discipline shows up whether it feels like it or not. And here's another hook. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like doing it. You may say, but discipline feels hard. Yes, it does, but so does regret. The difference is that discipline weighs ounces while regret weighs tons. Discipline is temporary discomfort, but regret is permanent pain. Every time you choose discipline, you are buying freedom from regret. You are ensuring that the future version of yourself looks back with gratitude, not disappointment. You are proving to yourself that your goals matter more than your feelings in the moment. The beauty of discipline is that it compounds over time. One workout may not transform your body. One book may not change your mind. One call may not build your business. But repeated over weeks, months, and years, these small acts of discipline accumulate into unstoppable momentum. That's why discipline feels invisible at first. The results are not immediate. But when you stay consistent, the breakthrough always comes. And when it does, it looks like an overnight success to the outside world. What they don't see is the discipline you practiced in the dark long before the spotlight ever hit you. Here's a hook to etch into your mind. Discipline will always outlast motivation. Motivation is like a spark. It ignites quickly but fades fast. Discipline is like a steady flame. It burns regardless of the weather. If you rely on motivation, you'll quit every time the spark goes out. If you rely on discipline, you'll keep going until the fire spreads into every area of your life. So every time you feel tempted to ease up, remind yourself that discipline is the daily rent you pay for the privilege of living your dream. It is the proof that you value your future more than your present comfort. And the amazing thing is, the more disciplined you become, the freer you feel. Because discipline doesn't take freedom away. It creates it. It gives you control over your habits, your time, your direction, and ultimately your destiny. Leverage small steps into big wins because success is rarely the product of one giant leap. It is the accumulation of small, consistent actions that create massive results over time. Too many people overlook the power of a small beginning because it doesn't look impressive, it doesn't feel dramatic, and it doesn't seem significant enough. But here's a hook you need to remember. Small steps create big momentum, and momentum creates unstoppable breakthroughs. The seed does not look like the tree, but inside the seed is the blueprint for the forest. The same principle applies to your goals. What feels small right now contains the potential for greatness if you are willing to nurture it. The trap most people fall into is waiting for a perfect moment, a perfect opportunity, or a perfect plan to take action. They tell themselves they'll start the business once they have more money. They'll work on their health once they have more time. They'll write the book once inspiration strikes. What they don't realize is that progress does not come from perfection, it comes from motion. That first imperfect step is the key that unlocks the second, and the second opens the third until eventually the path becomes clear. Another hook worth carrying with you is this: small actions done consistently outperform big intentions left undone. Think about the story of compound interest in finance. A small deposit made consistently grows into a fortune because of the power of accumulation over time. Life works the same way. Reading 10 pages of a book every day may not feel life-changing in the moment, but after a year, that's over 600 pages of new wisdom. Taking a 20-minute walk every day may not feel like much, but after months, it transforms your health. Making one meaningful phone call each day in your business may seem small, but over time it builds networks, opportunities, and deals that transform your future. The secret is not in the size of the step. It is in the consistency of taking it. Here's another hook to lock into your thinking. Big doors swing on small hinges. What looks insignificant today may be the very action that swings open the future you've been dreaming about. Every successful person you admire started with something small. A small investment, a small audience, a small opportunity, a small risk. They didn't despise the day of small beginnings. They leveraged it. They understood that small steps carry momentum, and momentum eventually makes the impossible inevitable. Small steps also create confidence. When you try to leap too far too quickly, the size of the task can overwhelm you and cause you to quit. But when you break it down into smaller, manageable steps, each step becomes a victory. Those victories stack, and before you know it, you've built the self-belief required to take on bigger challenges. Confidence is not built by talking yourself into believing you can do something. It's built by proving to yourself that you can take consistent action. Every small step you take becomes evidence that you are capable, and that evidence fuels the courage to keep going. Another reason small steps matter is because they create momentum that excuses cannot stop. Excuses thrive in stillness, but once you are moving, they lose their power. It's hard to talk yourself out of progress when you can see the results of consistent action. Momentum makes discipline easier, and it transforms effort into energy. That's why the most successful people often say, just start. They understand that you don't need to figure everything out. You just need to get moving, because motion creates clarity. Here's a hook to remind yourself daily: don't chase massive success, chase massive consistency. The truth is, small steps compounded over time will take you farther than bursts of big effort followed by long breaks. Your dream doesn't require you to be extraordinary overnight. It requires you to be consistent today, tomorrow, and the day after that. Those small wins accumulate, and soon the big win appears almost effortlessly because the foundation has already been laid. So the next time you're tempted to wait for the perfect moment, remember that small beginnings are not a sign of weakness. They are a sign of wisdom. Every great story starts with a first sentence. Every journey starts with a single step, and every breakthrough starts with a small action. Leverage those small steps, and soon they will compound into the big wins you once thought were out of reach. Unlocking the goal is powerful, but the deeper truth is that every time you unlock a goal, you unlock a new version of yourself. The real treasure is not the accomplishment itself. It is the transformation that happens within you during the journey. Too often people think the goal is the ultimate prize, but here's a hook worth remembering. What you achieve will make you successful, but who you become will make you significant. Goals are designed not just to give you something, but to grow you into someone. When you chase a goal, you are forced to confront parts of yourself you might otherwise ignore. You face your fears, your doubts, your weaknesses, and your excuses. Every locked door requires you to rise to a higher level to open it. If you want financial freedom, you have to become disciplined with money. If you want influence, you have to develop leadership and character. If you want health, you must learn consistency and self-control. The goal stretches you until you grow into the kind of person who can carry it. That's why you can't bypass the process. The process is the point. Most people don't realize that goals are teachers. They are like sculptors shaping you with every challenge, every setback, and every victory. Without the challenge of the goal, you would never uncover your hidden strength. Without the discipline of pursuit, you would never discover your resilience. Without the requirement to keep going when you feel like quitting, you would never develop endurance. Another hook you need to hold on to is this: success is not about what you get, it's about who you become in order to get it. When you unlock a goal, you don't just walk away with a trophy, you walk away with wisdom. You walk away with confidence. You walk away with a new standard for yourself. Think about it. After you've stretched to accomplish something you once thought was impossible, your belief system expands. What once seemed intimidating now feels normal. That shift in identity is priceless because it carries into every other area of your life. You are no longer the same person who started. You are stronger, sharper, and more capable. The danger many people fall into is chasing the goal while ignoring the growth. They achieve something but remain unchanged inside, which is why they often lose what they gained. Lottery winners who go broke, athletes who waste their talent, entrepreneurs who sabotage their businesses. These are examples of people who unlocked the goal but didn't allow the goal to unlock them. That's why the key hook here is this: if you grow into the goal, you'll keep it. If you don't, you'll lose it. Every new level of achievement requires a new version of you. The person you are today may not be capable of carrying the weight of the goal you desire, but the process of pursuit is designed to equip you. That's why challenges aren't setbacks, they're upgrades. They are the resistance that builds your muscle the fire that refines your character, the tests that prove your readiness. Each time you overcome, you unlock another layer of yourself, and that version of you is the one capable of sustaining the next level. Here's another hook to engrave in your thinking: goals are temporary, but growth is permanent. The trophy may fade, the applause may stop, the bank account may fluctuate, but the person you become in the process can never be taken away from you. Once you've unlocked courage, no one can lock it back up. Once you've unlocked resilience, it stays with you. Once you've unlocked vision, you'll never look at life the same way again. So don't just pursue goals for the sake of checking boxes. Pursue them with the awareness that each step, each discipline, and each breakthrough is shaping you. Celebrate the achievement, yes, but celebrate even more the transformation. Because the true gift of unlocking any goal is not just opening the door to something new. It's opening the door to a new you. And that version of you will be ready to face doors you never imagined you could walk through.